Get to it then, because we do have quite a few reviews tonight. So in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, this meeting has been noticed, and I thereby call the regularly scheduled Franklin Township Historic Preservation Advisory Commission meeting for March to order. We'll start with the roll. We'll just go in order around the table, starting with Mr. Bob McCourt.
Here.
Mr. Bill Burt's in a weird spot.
Yeah. I feel very unplaced.
Mr. Glenn McPartland.
Here.
I did T for you. Andrew Burien, present.
David Weaver.
David Wheeler.
Jessica Johnston.
Dominic Stanzino.
Pat Schmalla.
Anthony Gaddam.
Carla Visser.
And we do have a quorum with our staff person, Vince Dominic, present. So we have a few review actions. The first one is for 35 Franklin Street. This is a fence replacement. Are you here?
Yes.
You're first. Come on down. You can-
Pat?
Yeah, switch over that way. Thanks. Grab a seat. We'll try and be somewhat friendly, even though we hide the place.
Did you hook in the electric plug in that chair?
That's terrible.
Just for the record, since it is technically a public hearing, what's your name, please?
Jonathan Delmas.
And you're the property owner.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you tell us about your project?
So I have, it's an L-shaped property. The back fence, the back of the property does not have a fence there. And I was hoping to finish it with a standard 6-foot stockade fence. I have a dog, 2 kids now.
What kind of dog?
It's a
Very important.
little Chihuahua mix.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You don't need a 6-foot fence, you need like a 6-inch fence.
she actually could jump pretty high. So yeah, it would just be nice to be able to, just let her out in the back. But we've always spoke about trying to get a pool or something. Also, I know that you're supposed to have your pool enclosed somehow. So.
Okay.
It was that, and also I didn't know, that I was hoping to get a storm door on the front. I didn't know if I was supposed to file for another permit on that? I am. Okay. So that's separate, okay. So we'll just talk about the fence then, I guess.
We can talk about the door afterwards and see what you want to do. Maybe we can make it easy.
Okay.
So you did submit a property survey with the approximate fence, so we know what the property is. And you're saying you're replacing an existing fence?
So the left side and the right side, those fences are fine. It's the one in the back that's kind of...
So this along the back property?
Correct. That one's kind of... So it's weird because it has a partial fence, which is about a quarter. So if you're looking at the back, it's on the right side. There's about a quarter of the length. It has some fence there, which is all falling apart already. And then along the right side, there is a fence there as well, but that one also is kind of falling apart. So yes. So this one's empty.
Okay, so that's gonna be new fencing here?
New
to
fencing,
here?
right to here to here.
Okay, oh, just up to here.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, this has a fence,
Okay.
and this has a fence. But
Okay.
again, those two are kind of falling apart.
Okay, so you're just adding this section on, is this gonna be the same fence as we
These,
have?
I would just, hopefully, I would just, if I was approved, I would just replace all of this, just because then it would look uniform.
Okay, yeah, that's
I
right.
can't
So
read.
you're looking to get both of those to put
Yes.
new fencing here?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I see some highlights, are you doing anything across the
Yes,
front?
so that we could enclose in the property, also on the
And what
front.
kind of fence is existing there? Is it
This one is a
stockade?
wooden stockade fence.
Okay,
This side is a vinyl fence, actually.
okay, but all stockade, all 6 foot?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And this will come across somewhere in the house here?
Correct.
Okay, and then any gates there, or?
Yes, gates on both sides,
Okay.
preferably.
I I'm assuming that's gonna face outward to the,
Yes,
yeah,
Yeah.
the nice side out.
yes, correct.
So the fence on the one side is your neighbor's fence,
Yes,
and the fence on the other side is your neighbor's fence as well.
correct, yeah.
And you're just closing in the back and the side.
Yeah, so, on the back,
I'm cheating, I'm looking at Google.
okay, so,
On the survey, it's showing that the fence on the left side is on his property.
Right.
so it's also, I know on the Google Maps here, on here, it would be this whole
This?
back section and this section
Oh,
right here.
because you wrap around.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Where'd that vinyl fence come from? Is that a vinyl fence on your neighbor's property?
Yeah,
I don't remember ever seeing that. Okay, and you're proposing a wood picket stockade fence?
Yeah, correct,
6 foot tall.
yes.
Are you gonna paint it, or are you gonna leave it wood, or are you gonna stain it?
I was hoping to stain it. I just didn't know if, if I was allowed to or not. But I know that the regular fence that there's now turned all gray and everything like that, so it's not very.
So the fence that's on the left side on this map, is it the same type of fence? That
Yes.
Even though it's, and so it's the same, and the right is vinyl?
So, yeah, you're
And the
matching.
the back property, is there a house in the back there?
Yeah, yes.
Do they have fencing anywhere?
Um,
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Um,
Keep it cohesive if
yeah.
you're jumping from one to another.
Right.
And you're not planning on any gates or closing in the front?
Just the front, yes.
So you are planning on closing it?
Yes.
So if the soccer ball goes over, you're gonna have to walk all
You're
the
gonna
way
have to
around.
push wide.
And you're gonna have a gate on both sides.
And it's gonna be back this far, it's not gonna come to the front of the house, right?
No. Yeah, it would just be all the way back there.
Are you aligning it with the fence on this side and the fence on this side, or you just,
Fence on the left side, on the right side,
so it's gonna come here?
yes. On the right
And you
side,
wanna do something like that?
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
How does
the
that
right side
translate
shows
here?
your neighbor's
So-
fence back
So
here.
here,
Are you
it's
gonna
here.
Yeah.
do this?
And
His
Here,
fence
here.
comes up a little bit
Yeah.
further.
It does go further? Okay.
Yeah,
But
a
it's
little
coming-
bit further,
it's
so
coming up
it
against
would
the house.
kind of,
Align with that?
yeah.
Okay.
Against whose house?
it's gonna come up next to this.
Do they have a window here or something?
No, it looks like, your neighboring house is pretty much right on the property line, it looks like.
It is, correct.
So there's no window or doorway that'll be obstructed or?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Not in that section.
And the fence in the front is gonna be the stockade style fence, and the gate will be made out of the stockade material?
Correct.
Okay.
Will the fence go before or after from the street?
From this picture, it's more, so, yeah, the air conditioning and the windows, it's past, it's
So
past that.
Closer to
It's-
where that fence
Correct,
ends?
yeah. It's like maybe a half a foot to maybe a foot from that fence, that white fence.
And then just that
Yeah.
window's gonna miss.
Your neighbor looks like it has some drainage there?
Yes,
Okay,
but that would be past the fence.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Your utilities are would be on this side of the fence, I think. right?
Correct,
On the
yes.
front side.
Yeah, they're totally accessible.
There's an air handler there.
Uh,
Condenser.
Yeah, condenser sitting there,
Yeah, correct.
right back there.
That'll be on the front side of that fence or the back side?
Front side. Yeah, no, the fence will be way, it'll probably be another 15 feet past that.
All right.
Anybody have any questions or comments before we open it to the public?
My only question would be the neighbor's fence, but that's not really part of this.
Okay, anything else? Seeing no more questions or comments from the board, does anybody from the public have any questions or comments on this application? Seeing no public come forward, does anybody want to make a motion on this application?
I will,
And that motion is?
as applied for. And then we can talk about the door if you want.
Does anybody want to second that? So we have a first McCourt, and we have a second Weaver. Okay, that motion carries. So what do you want to do with your screen door? What do you got in mind?
I know, well, my front door is super drafty and everything like that, but I know my wife has been talking about trying to just keep the standard wooden door open. just so, to let some light in and everything like that. Plus, a storm door might help with drafts coming in and everything like that. So, I just didn't know what my options were for doors. I have,
So you want to do a full glass panel? like
full
this?
glass so that you could still see the door, because we love, like the color of the door. I need to clean it up, but yeah, we like seeing the front door and everything.
Anybody want to look at this? We can pass it around. So it's just a straightforward aluminum
Yeah.
door with, looks like 2 glass panels that open.
Yeah, the top half would open so that it would be a screen to let some fresh air in.
And it's going to be white aluminum.
Yes, the rest of the house is white, so we just assumed white would match with it.
And it looks like it's a low profile, so
Yeah,
we'll pass it around.
with
I don't have a problem talking about this.
with a lock.
This is a stupid
On it
enough
also,
to open
so-
out. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it is. It's a good thing you brought your printout, huh?
Yeah, I didn't know what to bring, so I was hoping that was enough.
So I know we already voted on that other the original application, but we can amend it at this point. I would say we could amend that previous approval to include the screen storm door as submitted. Does anybody
I
have
motion
any
to
question?
approve
Okay. So we have a motion to amend.
Well, if we're actually going to amend it,
Uh-huh.
then he has to agree
Oh, that's
to
right.
amend it.
I
It's
overruled
just-
him and.
So
I mean, you can make-
so I'm gonna make a motion to amend, and then Bob
Yes, has to-
has to make the amendment.
I will make the amendment, and no problem with the door.
Okay.
You can see the doors.
And then Weaver will have to second that. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There we go. Robert's rules, baby. Thank you. So you're good to go.
Thank you. That's it?
That's it?
Thank you. Have a good night.
Vince will forward your information so you get a permit.
I don't, do I have, we don't have the door, I have the fence.
Correct.
right? So.
You want me to,
I'll approve the fence tomorrow.
Okay.
So you can install that whenever you want.
Perfect.
The door, you'll need a building, well, actually, you don't need a building permit.
No, not for storm door.
Yeah, it doesn't need it, so you can just
No.
do that too.
Oh, perfect.
You don't need a building permit for that.
Okay.
That's right, because it's not an entrance door, it's a screen door.
Sounds good. Okay.
You're all set,
Cool,
thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Our next application this evening is 33 South Middlebush Road. This is just paving an existing driveway.
A little bit of an addition to it.
And your name, please?
Trevor Petrock?
And you're the property owner.
Yes.
Great. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
I'm looking to extend the driveway, 20 by 20 section,
Okay.
for 2 additional parking spots.
So on the drawing that you submitted, you approximately showed where it's going to be,
Exactly, yeah. I think it's pretty good.
right there.
Yep.
And this is existing stone?
So it's stone from the road all the way up to the proposed section,
Okay.
right, up one more, up to that one, and then it's concrete from there up to the garage.
And you want to do all of this in asphalt
Correct,
to the apron?
right to the apron, correct. That's concrete.
Any questions? This one is as straightforward as we get. Any comments? I'll give you 30 seconds to digest. Shortest 30 seconds in history. Since there's no questions or comments from the board, does anybody have any questions or comments from the public? Seeing no public come forward, does anybody want to make a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion.
I'll second that.
No, Glenn
I'm
said it
second.
first.
The chairman decides who says it.
We have a motion, McFarland, and we have a second McCourt.
I'll second it.
And we have a second McCourt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, that was an easy one.
Okay, thank you very much.
That was the quickest one.
Okay, what do we have next? 26 Elm Street, this is replacement windows. Do we have a property owner or a representative?
Representative.
representative. And your name for the record, please?
My name is Robert Hargrove. I'm from Home Depot.
Robert Hargrove?
Right, I'm a principal design consultant. The owner could not make it, but we're the ones that he's contracted to install the windows.
Okay. So why don't you, you're not going to know much about the property, but you can tell us what the project is.
Well, you can see you have pictures of everything. So on the exterior, it's going to match the colors, no change there. The entire first floor, it has existing vinyl windows that were there before the owner bought the home. The owner's owned the home about 2 years now. So whatever was there has been already there before he even got to the product, to the home. So there's one kitchen window that they want to replace. We're going to put an Anderson 100. It's actually better than vinyl. It's made of Fibrex, which is 40% wood, 60% vinyl composite. That's on the first floor. And on the second floor, the master bedroom, we want to replace 2 older Anderson windows with 2 current Anderson 400 windows. Again, on the outside, the colors are going to look the same.
Okay.
So we're just asking that you allow this to happen because his windows are old and they're leaking and wants them to be energy efficient.
Just in fairness, Vince and I had reviewed this application together before they came to see if it's something that we wanted to see in front of the full board. And I said because it's window replacements, we do want to see that. I will tell you that they are replacements for replacements, so I don't really see much of a problem with this, but to be consistent, they had to come. So I think this is another relatively easy application, but I wanted the board to have an opportunity to chime in. So any questions or comments?
This is pretty straightforward. There are replacements and there's nothing really to talk about.
Any other questions, comments?
Just
or
with the applicant, is not the owner or the builder, is that just Home Depot corporate there, Scott Bowman?
I work for Home Depot.
I know.
So I work for the company.
On the word, so that's just the corporate,
Yeah, so that's from our Atlanta main headquarters, but I'm local here in New Jersey.
Right,
South
right. So
Plainfield.
my question
I brought my
is-
business cards if you
would
want.
he put in would it be his name on the application or Home Depot's name?
That does-
If
does-
he's doing
That
the
will-
work.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. We're just approving it. We honestly don't care who the applicant, unlike the planning or zoning board where there's, but all we care is someone comes and can
No,
explain
no,
the
just
application.
questioning that.
Yeah, and that way, if we go out there and they're not Anderson, 400 series windows, the homeowner's on the hook to fix it.
Yeah, no, I was just really questioning the Atlanta address, that's all.
It's a basic install for us. It's nothing unusual.
Gotcha.
So no further questions or comments?
Nope.
There's nobody left in the audience? You don't have any questions, right? You're good. Anybody want to make a motion on this application? That's not Bob LaPorte?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, we got Anthony. Anthony got it. Anthony, what's your motion?
I make a motion that we approve the windows to be installed.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
And we have a second, Carla. All in favor?
Am I allowed to second?
You
I
are.
don't do seconds.
There's a lot to unpack there. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That was also straightforward. So the homeowner will be able to get we don't even need a permit, right? Because it's just
No,
window.
they're direct.
We're not changing sizes or
Yeah, you're good.
anything. There's no permit needed for that.
All right.
Nice windows, I like them.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, so just so I understand, how do I get a copy of the approval? Or is it-
You could just, I can give it to you, I can email you something, but you're good to go.
Can I give you my business card? Send it
Sure.
right there. What is your name, please?
Vince.
Vince?
Yeah.
Last name?
Dominic, aren't you the one who emailed me this to begin with, or they sent?
No, that was another person. That was Elzbieta Mandrone from our West
I'll
Coast
email
office.
you tomorrow.
There's several Home Depot offices involved in this.
All right,
All right, great. If you could send it directly to me, that would be great.
perfect.
Super, thank you, Vince.
Your small mom and pop Home Depot shop.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Take care, thanks. Do we have 12 Occult Street?
Yeah.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on the Shed is Right.
That was 23, they're the ones. begging me to get on to it.
How you doing? Your name for the record, please,
Literally
sir?
We can
begging
look
me
at
to.
it.
My name
We can
is
look at it.
Charles
I don't think it's
Lighthouse.
something we just
And you're the
replace it,
property
right?
owner?
Yeah, I've been the owner for 40 years.
Thank you
Otherwise,
very
it's
much,
gonna be 2
sir.
months.
The guy begged me to, the next one, sorry.
So tell us a little bit about your application. What are you looking to do?
Put a small shed on the property, get some extra storage, and I'm working with the shed place out on Route 22, Golden Oaks.
Okay. And it's gonna be, what you have back here, this New England style with the dormer?
And that's what they offer so many of them, that they had a gambrel structure, but it just didn't have the skirts, and I thought this was the closest to complementing the existing structures with a shed dormer.
And you have the,
They offer a color that is very close to the color on the house, and they offer a selection of architectural shingles with, I think the one they call gray looks like a dead match for what's on the house.
I've lived right off on Buffa for the past 14 years. I've always been envious of your garage.
That was a historic project.
I like that
The
garage.
roof, you mean?
They
Is that
with the
roof?
gambrel
Dutch
roof, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And now you got the solar on the back, right?
Yeah, you don't see the solar from the street.
Yeah.
The gambrel structure was a copy of a barn that was down toward going down toward the Delaware River.
Okay.
I actually sat down with the owner and took dimensions and everything to get the,
Oh, neat.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
he knew all the dimensions by heart.
Oh,
Didn't
really?
have to measure a thing.
No.
He was a contractor who had done gambrel structures in the area.
Oh, jeez.
And, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I like actually when we digress, you get a little history. I see on your drawing you're doing 5-foot setbacks off the property line typical,
Those are what the zoning,
and that's what's required by zoning. So Vince, we're good with zoning?
Yes.
I assumed as much.
I marked that as typical 2 places.
And so you're gonna go with the New England transom door?
Yep.
What, just an idea of colors, you said you're gonna match to the
Blue.
best?
There's in the brochure, there is a blue that is very close to, the color on the house is,
And this is gonna be just delivered and it's gonna sit on a gravel pad? There's no concrete? none
No.
of that? Okay.
no.
No,
It's 4-inch,
Like a federal
4-inch
style
crushed
blue.
stone. 4 inches of crushed stone. And that's what the shed place recommended because of the weight of the shed. The smaller ones they put on concrete pads. This one is a little bit bigger and they
Just
recommend.
consider for yourself, putting chicken wire or welded wire mesh on top of the gravel before they place the shed, because it helps stop with the critters. Critters like to get underneath and dig. And you
Okay.
and if you put a barrier down, they can't dig through
I'll
as
ask them
easy.
about that.
Yeah. I don't have any questions. Anybody else?
I just want to make sure the long edge is facing the street.
Yes. It's, that was done to scale. I had to adjust the scale because that's a Xerox of the survey and Xerox moves things around a little bit.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
No electric or anything for that?
No.
Lights? No.
Going once? Andrew, you got any comments on this? You're all that's left in the audience, so.
I'd also just say, we don't opine on color, but trying to match it, just be careful. Maybe get a sample from them to look at it. It might, if you try and do it and it doesn't work, I don't know what colors you have going, but it could be just,
Well, they also offer an option where they will finish it in the paint and color.
Yeah, you can use
That's up to you.
They do Benjamin Moore,
Right.
and the house is in Benjamin Moore, it's Williamsburg blue.
If it's been sitting and fading for a while, blues and reds and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this too will fade. Kind of like you are.
Kind of like,
Wow.
you walked right into it. You walked into that.
No? Wow.
She's a
I've always tried to do projects on the house that are in keeping with the way the house
You
was,
can see that. Nice.
including duplicating molding and
Cool.
Sounds very nice.
Well, I think it's pretty good. Anybody, no more questions, comments, right? And there is no public left.
He's going after you.
So, with that, does anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I see no problem with this to go ahead with the shed installed at 12 Walcott Street.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Do we have a second?
Can you put something in there about, just a little reminder about the grate, the wire on the
The
top with
chicken
the
wire?
critters?
It's just it's a suggestion.
You will have groundhogs going under there.
yeah, I don't know exactly how they situate the stone, but I will make sure that they consider any critter invasion. I know the shed in back of us has had a groundhog for a long time.
Well, motion carries, right? All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Any opposed? So thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Andrew, I have no idea where the last one is. He practically begged me to come tonight so that because his roof is having a problem, and I emailed him.
Can we just look, I mean, you can probably take this offline if we can come to some kind of consensus, because we're not gonna meet next month, right?
Thanks.
I want the roof, let's just,
No, we could do that if
if it's straightforward, then.
So, if that's your bailiwick, we could do that. But given the property that it is, I'm a little concerned about doing that, but, you know, because we've had this property come in several times for several different projects. You know, it's the old two-room schoolhouse.
Yeah, and that, my concern was that he called up and said, I can do it because I got approval, and I'm saying, you came like 3 years ago for a conceptual.
Yeah.
There was no approval on anything, even if there was an approval, it's expired.
And the only problem is I don't know specifically what the existing roof is.
Yeah, I would say if you're gonna do anything at all, Andrew, you'd want to have a subcommittee. We didn't wanna make him, because we're sure as heck not gonna hear this next month before 11
I
after.
think he wasn't in the bigger email.
I think you'd wanna go out and visually inspect it
Yeah.
before you know, with them,
Yeah.
before you do anything, if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
This is the schoolhouse.
He's right there.
I know the property, but I don't know the roof specifically.
Barbara knows this building inside and out.
Yeah.
Barbara, she ran her daycare out of this building for a number of years.
Besides the roof, are they doing anything else? Is he like a proposed?
They want to do other
What
work,
was that gonna show?
but they were adamant they had to get it because they're afraid the roof's gonna collapse. They wanted to come tonight, and I said, well, give me the roof, because I can't get stuff for the rest of the house 2 days before. That's not fair to the commission.
I'm actually, to be honest, I'm really disappointed that they've let this rot. I mean,
Yeah.
And I know we don't have any recourse other than to watch it rot, and it's just a shame. If we were to form a subcommittee, which I don't think is a terrible idea, I think that it would be limited to roof only.
Yeah. Yep.
At least the bodies are.
What's your thoughts, Glenn, since you brought that up?
Is this, what building is this? It's not residential, is it?
It's the old school.
It's an old school, two classroom school building in East Millstone.
Is that residential, is that commercial?
It is currently zoned.
It's R10H.
Yeah.
So
But,
it's
but,
residential.
but it's not a residence. It would still be a change of use for the building with whatever they do.
Why would the fire marshal be giving them grief on residential? I don't understand that part of the
I-
Because the fire
wouldn't-
marshal doesn't want his firefighter standing on a rickety roof, it's gonna,
app.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's, doesn't really matter to the application.
That really doesn't matter
Yeah, we don't really care
for
about
us.
It's like when someone says it's expensive.
What is everybody's thought on
I
a
say you can
subcommittee
choose
for?
others to go out and I'll be there.
So you're for a subcommittee for roof?
Or,
overlay?
yes, and I'll be there.
Don't they need to show us
Yeah,
some
I think it's a good
materials?
idea.
Considering our
They gotta
next
show us
month is.
materials. I don't know what this is.
No, Well,
I
yeah.
nominate
Well, I
you
would
too,
say,
though.
you got a meeting out there with samples.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be,
Yeah, you have to meet.
yeah, they meet with samples,
So-
the committee
So
can
let's
meet.
do it this way. I don't want to form a subcommittee for this specific property, because I don't want to set precedent, but we can set a subcommittee for emergent applications until the next meeting. And I would qualify this as an emergent application only because the building is at risk of
Yeah, I would agree with that.
more and more damage. So maybe we handle it that way, so that it's not property specific. So
Or
it's-
because it has a safety violation on
Right.
it, right? That would be
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
emergent factor.
Is everybody kind of cool with that? I just don't want to set a precedent
No, I
and say,
agree.
well, this specific property gets our
Right.
attention.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we have to do a motion and a second to form the subcommittee.
Well, you don't, you could just appoint it.
All right.
You as chair have the right to appoint
Yeah.
any subcommittee you want.
I'm so
Is that in the
proud.
bylaws? I
Yeah,
don't
it is.
remember.
It is.
It is, oh yeah, that's,
I can do whatever I want, Bill.
basically, yeah.
Who wants to be on this subcommittee? Anybody?
I would.
I could take up to 4 members total because we can't constitute a quorum.
I would like to.
Okay, Carla,
I'll do it.
Dominic,
I'm available.
Jess, and I guess myself, because I never have a choice.
I'll be an alternate if someone can't do that.
All right, awesome. So subcommittee of Carla, Dominic, Jess, and myself will deal with emergent matters over the next month.
And then I will email this guy tonight, because I just emailed him now saying no one showed up, and I will email him and say, subcommittee was appointed, and I'll copy you on it and tell them,
Okay. And our charge will be limited to only things that are in preservation of the building, of an emergent matter, so.
all right.
So like a roof, but, we won't opine on any of the design details for what the interior will be. Cool. So that closes our formal applications, and now we have a subcommittee formed for that, which is actually kind of good, because we talked about forming a subcommittee to every meeting for emergent and minor applications anyway. So here's our test case. And what we'll do is we'll report back next meeting of the findings of, if any. All right, so public discussion, I need public discussion. Nobody from the public is coming forward. I would point out there is one public person left.
Scared the rest of them away.
Incoming correspondence. I want to make everybody aware that Vince and I had a conversation and a meeting with the property owners at 4597 Route 27, which is the house between the Charlie Browns and the post office building. They had submitted an application for a permit to basically alter the entire building under the ruse of it being listed as an interior renovation. And
So pinkish?
It's the dog groomer, the pet groomer.
yeah, it used to be the groomer.
Okay.
And they emailed Vince kind of like in an emergency. Oh, we found that the framing is messed up and we need to just demolish the building. Can we do that? So that opened a can of worms. And I want to stress that they did not have final building permit yet. So nothing was in motion, and they were actually kind of working without a permit, but that's an aside. They came to us, and Vince and I had a conversation, and we looked at what they were claiming was their emergent reason for this, and it was that it's a balloon-framed house. and their quote-unquote architect or engineer said, well, this will never meet modern codes, we need to just tear it down. Which we all know is not correct. There's ways to mitigate balloon framing and the inherent fire risks. So we basically very quickly said, I sent to Vince an email, this must come before the commission and it is subject to all of the requirements of demolition. And the response was, well, we're doing an interior renovation. And with that, I got to see the drawings, and I'm looking at the drawings, I'm like, Vince, they are altering the entire building. So they were trying to take the roof off, they were taking the siding off, they were putting stucco finish all over. They were turning it into a shoebox retail building
For cannabis.
for cannabis.
Another one?
Another one.
There's 21 applications in town, I believe.
So,
That's 3 in Kingston.
it's the happiest place on earth, my friend.
There's just one less direction than one of the.
You sit on top of a deck and start.
I guess PJ's is doing well.
So after reviewing this, I called Vince and I said they must be using their own product because this doesn't pass any of the sniff tests, pardon the pun. So, we had a quick Zoom meeting, which
It was a real quick meeting.
which I was 15 minutes late because I had another conflict. But basically, we told them you can't do anything to the building without approvals. And they're in a hurry to get their product to market. So they're saying, well, we won't do anything that impacts the exterior of the
Street
building.
corner like everybody else does.
The problem is that to do nothing besides the interior is a completely redesign, so it's gonna take them forever, because and the email I sent that Chairman asked me to send was to tell them, before we even met with them, that it's obvious you didn't know this is in a historic district, and they admitted they didn't. And then when we were point blank and said this will never get approved, it has 0% chance, it is completely and totally inappropriate. It couldn't have been more inappropriate. It was that bad. So they got that message, and they'll come back to whatever they're gonna come back with. I don't know.
Redesign the whole thing.
I'm not sure that they'll even come back, because I'm not sure that they can do what they need to do from the way that building needs to flow for the state approval. It has to have certain flow. I'm not sure they can do it without making major changes.
They were either really good at playing dumb or really didn't understand what they bought and did not do any due diligence into what they bought.
Yeah.
See, I think they're using that for the construction, that they can't do the construction right and sound with a balloon frame. Because as you know, and the architect should know, like you said, you're acting dumb, that the layout of the downstairs is the same layout as is upstairs.
Typically.
Right? They use ribbons inside to hold the joists up. Right? And the walls are like a chimney flue from the basement right up to the attic. So therefore, the only place they're able to remodel is upstairs. And there's a lot of shoring that has to be done. So either they didn't know or they're acting dumb.
The other thing of that building isn't, it's historic, but it wouldn't be in the time frame of balloon framing.
It is actually.
Yeah.
What
They only
year is
built
it?
Old house.
balloon
I
frame,
know
only
it is,
building.
but it's nowhere on the,
But I think they said the 1860s,
I don't think so.
but I don't know.
I'm
I
telling
think it's more 1890s, that building.
Balloon frames were only built in a short period
I
of
know,
time.
that's what I'm saying, I don't think there's
The
balloon framing in there.
late 1800s and early 1900s.
Oh, it was?
Very short period.
I thought it was earlier, like
Your old house was
60s.
balloon frame, wasn't it?
Honestly, it doesn't matter. It
Doesn't matter, but the idea is they're acting
Oh,
dumb.
yeah, well,
Because any architect knows about balloon framing.
And their plans were completely disingenuous.
So we may or may not see this.
So we may not see it, yeah.
Yeah, the front page said interior renovations, and then they had a little thing saying, the explanation on the first set just said interior. And there was nothing left of the exterior. It was completely renovated, the roof, it was ridiculous that the architect would put that on a front set of
So they
plans.
knew it was a historic district, and that's why they said
I
interior.
don't
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did, I think he was just stupid.
we
Because
can't be
with
further
the
on
meeting
that.
we were at, they were like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? And they were all, and I didn't send that email till like an hour before the meeting. It's not like we gave them 3 days to figure it out. They were really like,
There
oh
was,
shit.
there was no argument in
Yeah,
the nature.
they
It was
didn't-
like
they just-
deer in the headlights, like, oh.
Yeah,
So,
Wasn't it the same group that came in a couple of months ago with signage?
no.
That's Philadelphia standard.
Yeah,
next
so,
door?
Yeah.
yeah,
This
that's,
is different pet store.
yeah.
I have a question about Gennaro's, because remember when you said it was wired up and the light was on?
Yeah, there's a light
The
up there.
sign.
Well, it's spliced with electrical tape on the outside of the building.
Is it really?
Yes. And it's bare wire.
What?
What is this, where?
Gennaro's, remember he's having that sign done and he said the light was already installed? I don't know that it was, because there's now wires spliced to that light.
Which sign
On
is
the
this?
outside
The one
of
all the way up at the gable end that they just asked for.
And you can see the black electrical tape just on the outside of the house.
Well, Vince is making
Wires
it up.
like hanging all over. It's not safe.
Well, I send my, it can't be that way, on the electrical.
Yeah, obviously.
So I just want to report back on that as a correspondence item because that happened. Bob, open space, anything going on? with
Yeah, there's a
open
couple
space?
things.
I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. So I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. Let's see what you tell us.
Okay, you're talking about the Dunn
I am
property?
talking about the Dunn.
You are talking about
I
the
am.
Yeah, so, there's going to be 2 different hearings here. There was a notice sign on the corner of Claremont Butler and South
I
Middlebush.
saw that, couldn't read it, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can't read it.
The first one is April 3rd. That's what my notes have.
Where's the hearing gonna be?
Here.
What day?
That's the
April 3rd.
Onyx application, April 3rd.
What, sorry?
April 3rd.
That's the first hearing of the diversion.
Well, let's wait a minute, what day of the week is that?
Oh, I don't,
Yes, because every day.
whatever it is, I have April 3rd, and
Can't
that's
do it.
coming
April
from
3rd's a Wednesday.
There's, well,
Bob Vaughn.
all right,
That's what
if it's,
signs up.
if it's April 3rd, it's a Wednesday, you can't be there, that's the planning board
Right, the planning
meeting.
board meeting is
You
happening.
can't be at the open space that night.
Can't be at 2 places at once.
Yeah, but I'm saying normally that the planning board would have been here, but we're moving that
Right,
to
What-
Consolata, so you can, I was just concerned that April
Yeah.
3rd,
right.
because Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we have meetings in that room. Normally, it would be the Wednesday, so.
So there's gonna be two scheduled hearings, one's on April 3rd and
Yes.
the other is...
I don't know when the other one is.
And can you tell us in excruciating detail what the purpose of the hearing is?
So, what the township basically wants to do is to take that private, not make it private, be able to get reimbursed for the property, sell it, but keep it as farmland preservation. So when you do that, because it was purchased with Green Acres funds, you have to divert, I forget what the acreage, whatever it is,
4 to
3 or
1,
4.
right?
It's 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, it's whatever,
Something like that.
yeah, they change depending on the value.
So who do they sell it to?
Somebody who wants to buy
Oh,
it.
Somebody who wants to buy it,
But
but
they-
it stays,
but it
you can't
stays
knock it
farmland.
down, or you can't do
I got
anything
it,
like
yeah.
that, it would be reserved.
So when was it decided to do this?
This has been going on for almost 4 years.
And did it come out of open space to do these hearings?
Open space in Green Acres.
But-
The township owns the property.
And they want to sell it into private hands to somebody that's gonna farm it?
It's not really that much of it's going to be farm, because there's really only one road that comes in there.
How many
So-
acres are there?
Is it,
It's basically,
So that would be the house, all around here is farm, so, and there's a road that comes in this way.
That road's an easement.
Yeah, that's an easement. And so it's only maybe about 2.5 acres, I believe,
Does it go up to the farm pond? The farm pond,
the pond.
is that included?
That's included in it, yeah.
Because the township doesn't want that liability?
Nope.
And they're buying it for the house, essentially?
Have you ever been in?
No.
Has anybody been in that house?
No.
To see?
I've been to the house, I've never been in the
Where is it
house.
located exactly?
So when you're going down South Middlebush,
Yeah.
okay.
You know where the Van Loo Sandy Sudam house is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know how that's way in the back?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
how there's
yeah,
another
yeah.
big white farmhouse to the left of it?
Yeah.
That's the Nevius Dunn house. That's the house we're talking about.
The house is absolutely beautiful
Well,
on the
if they want
inside.
somebody to farm it, isn't it?
Well, it's not really.
A farm
you don't have enough-
considered
you-
6
don't-
acres?
You don't have enough to farm.
You have to have 6 acres to get farm tax and...
That's all around it is all open space. It's just.
Yeah.
And what is the goal of the hearings? To get public input on
Yes.
divesting?
To get to divest it and just basically move it over. It's costing a lot of money.
When the other meeting date is, because
How are they going to receive bids for purchase? Does
Yes,
that work out?
everything will be,
So there's going to be public bidding periods?
yes.
So I have another question. Is this gonna be a tendency now that they wanna sell off?
No, that's the only one right now. I mean, you have that one. We are trying to do something with the one on Hamilton Street,
What's that, Tulip?
Tulipwood.
Oh, really? And what's that, is to sell that?
That's gonna be a little more difficult to sell that because that was purchased with different funds. Some open space funds, but also some state funds. So that's a little different. What they were trying to do with that was to make it more of a residence or a part of Rutgers, but all that fell through.
Yeah, I know that.
So with the Dunn house, what is the intent with the proceeds of the sale?
That would go back to open space.
We'll just go to open space.
now I assume it's gonna have a historic easement on the
Yes.
outside of the house, so that
That's why
anything would have to
everything.
be done in accordance. Now, what about the interior of the house?
Do whatever you want with the interior.
All right, I'm-
But let me tell you.
No, no,
I actually don't agree with that.
I'm actually, that's actually important, because typically when you sell or divert, the exterior and interior are included
So-
in that. Because,
I
It's
actually,
not hard to do, it's all plastered. It's beautiful.
I actually really strongly believe we need to consult the State Historic Preservation Office. And I
Chapeau's
really,
been involved in that.
and I think that we should be involved
Yeah,
in these
you're right. I agree
conversations.
with you. Totally.
So, if the State Historic Preservation Office is involved, I know that they typically don't like the idea of townships holding easements over properties like this, because everything becomes political, right? It can be changed with political wind. So if the township really wants to divest what we know to be a historic property, we should really be
Yeah.
cognizant of how
I
that
agree.
property will be protected moving
I
forward.
agree.
I would suggest that you go to the April
You
3rd
should be.
meeting.
Andrew, the way that it's done, and the way that we did it with, what's this, the one that was the spa. Remember we gave them?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That there was a historic easement, and what the easement was, it requires them to do everything in accordance, and even in the interior. Now, they were allowed to do regular sheetrock and everything else, but they weren't allowed to remove any of the interior wood or anything.
Right.
So that's what I mean by an easement. I don't mean by, and that's a permanent restriction on the property.
Oh, it's a deeded covenant, right?
Yeah, it's filed with the county. That's typically what happens with, that's what we did with that building. So I would assume we'd be doing the same thing.
And those changes would revert back to the state, not here, because we don't have any ordinances on interior.
No, if,
You could have it inspected.
We're covered by the ordinance.
Yeah.
Because that's the next question, is that, then that property would become the purview of this board, even though it's not in a historic district. So part of the easement and covenants on it is that it's a reviewable property. So we gotta make sure that all that kind of stuff's included.
What condition is the property currently? in good shape, or is it?
The property is in good shape because we're paying for the heating of the oil and everything of that to keep, because it's all plaster and wood. But it's funny,
Is it occupied or just?
no, it's not, it hasn't been occupied since Mrs. Dunn passed away and willed it to us maybe 15, 20 years ago. But it's funny because instead of wiring, it's all extension cords. It's extension cords everywhere.
We
Oh
had
my
that
God.
Yeah, no,
stapled to
But
the
you
top.
know,
and-
the woodwork is beautiful. And if you ever been in tulip wood, the woodwork in the tulip wood is absolutely
the
spectacular.
township replaced the roof on Dunn about, what, 6, 7 years ago? We put a new slate
It
roof
came
on
out of
it.
open space.
So it's got a new slate roof.
Yes. There's another piece of property there, but that was way gone, and I forget the name of that one. Another house.
Okay. So
So that's that. We got any more questions on that?
I think it's gonna require some homework, to be honest.
And I'm gonna have to, I'll find out when the other hearing is, because when was this scheduled? Because if we didn't decide until a week ago that there was not gonna be a planning board meeting in there, so I don't know how they would have scheduled this anything more than,
All I
they would
have-
not have been able to have it, because we have a plan, till a week ago when we changed it, there was a planning board meeting in
All I
there.
have is I wrote down April 3rd, so I'm saying
Yeah.
that April 3rd is.
I'm gonna
one of
find
the
out
meetings.
from Bob.
Vince, can you
Yeah, find out.
circulate, can you actually circulate the hearing notice? Can we get
Yeah,
a copy of the hearing notice
yeah.
sent to everybody here?
It's not on the website, I looked on the website, it's not even on the website.
Go right down the street, it's on there. You can't, it's a,
Who's
It's
holding
a-
the meeting? Do you know who's holding the meeting?
I think the
Because-
township is here.
You can't read the notice of it on
You
Claremont.
can't read the notice.
Nothing.
It's too small. It's a big sign.
It's
It's a sign, it's almost as big as the wall, but
teeny tiny letters.
you can't
read it.
pull over. You
No.
have to pull over and stand in front of it to
Absolutely.
read
And that's
it.
their notice? You gotta be kidding. That's
Hearing
unbelievable.
for, I'm sending myself an email, so I'll go in tomorrow and figure it out.
There's a lot of public commentary too. I've seen it come up in some social forums
It's too small.
about the sign and then about the, you
I
know,
don't have any
the
control
sale
over
of
that.
the property and disrepair of the home. So I think the public has.
I'll find out, Andrew, and make sure whatever, that I give it to everybody. And find out what the dates are too. I don't know how someone scheduled that, unless it was scheduled after how long has the sign been up?
2
Couple
weeks,
days, it hasn't been that long?
almost 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Right, go down South Middlebush, Claremont,
I've seen it.
it's right there. Right on our open space, right across the street from the
decrepit building?
The
Crappy
little general
building.
store?
the little general
Lo-
store.
lo-
Yeah, the
Laird.
general store.
Laird's.
Laird's.
Laird store,
And Laird's is not historic. The house that's falling down is.
yeah.
So it's a.
I wonder if they ever took that piano out of there.
Yeah, I'd rather.
So then,
Okay.
the other thing is, the Meadows Foundation came and they needed money to pay for
Right, utilities.
utilities and all that stuff. There's certain things that open space could pay for, and there's certain things that open
Right.
space could not pay for.
I read that.
So, we paid for whatever, I mean, their attorney fees and their, salaries and stuff like that does not come out of open space, but utilities and, because really, the township owns those properties, not Meadows.
Right.
Trail maps are nice, yeah, and then, that's basically about it.
Okay. So Bob, I'd like a little bit of a more thorough job keeping us informed about things like the Dunn, because I was quite taken back when I saw all the chatter about it. So I know it's been an ongoing conversation for a long time, but.
We didn't have that much of a discussion about it, just that the notice was going up, but we'll do that.
Okay. So, good. Oh, not good. Mediocre.
Let me just look at. No, there's nothing.
All right, good. So, moving on, we have unfinished business. These
Or,
are.
can I interrupt?
Yeah,
Right.
please.
So a little bit of the version here, okay? Submitted updated signage and notice text to the Jersey DEP Green Acres for approval. Sent signage specifications to DEP for printing and installation. This was all in January. Sent newspaper text with scheduling requirements to clerk for publishing. That's,
I guess Anne Marie could get us the copy.
Well, I go look on the board, it should be on the board, right out front.
Okay. All right, excellent. Are we good, Bob? You're good?
good, yeah.
All right, so unfinished business from the list is a couple of the initiatives I'm trying to start up, which is the bylaws update, ordinance update, and having a review action form. The last one, review action form, is squarely on me, but I just want to see if anybody's reviewed the bylaws. I know, Jess, you sent me a comment. If there's any questions or comments, what I'd like to do is by the next meeting, receive any questions and comments you have so we can start actually making revisions.
I had a question about that. I did look at them. I mean, what are the problems? I mean, the two versions you gave us
Yeah,
are
the
very,
two versions.
very different.
Yeah.
Right, so that's part of the problem.
Well, which one is the one that's in effect now?
So the currently adopted one is the short one.
Short
Okay.
one.
And the short one, in my opinion, is inadequate.
In what ways?
No, it's very basic.
It's very lawyer legalese,
Yes,
in my
yes,
opinion.
Yes, that's
Crap.
true.
And the,
No board has that short.
and
They don't.
And the longer version, while it's more word heavy, is more descriptive
Yeah, it is.
of the way we should be conducting business. And when the short form was proposed, it was more of a, well, you know, it's all legal language, but it leaves it vague enough so we could do more or less what we want. And I don't think I agree with that. That's why I circulated both versions and said, you know.
Well, I think in the longer version, there are several areas that are clearly not necessary.
Okay.
But I'm not clear on what's missing from the short version. I mean, what powers or what guidelines are missing? Like, I mean, in the long version, it says things why you can cancel a meeting. Well, I don't think that needs to be in the bylaws. I mean, if the township's closed, it's closed.
I think the problem is that the bylaws picks up on items that are not explicitly picked up in the ordinance.
Okay.
That's why I think the longer form picks up on things that the ordinance doesn't cover and how we operate. And that's just my reading on it. And I think that by having the short form, it leaves some things a little more vague that is like kind of at our whim. And I think the longer form, I get your point, I do. I just think that we need to look at the ordinance and the bylaws in tandem and see how they can complement each other.
Yeah, well, I think that, I would agree with that. And I'm not sure I am knowledgeable enough to comment on the ordinances. I mean, that's law and.
Get reading.
Well, I did look at it, but.
Andrew, could I make a suggestion? Could I take a look at the longer version and send some comments to you? Because I've written 50 bylaws and the longer version is much closer to what a typical, I wasn't pleased when we went from that, but there was the whole reason, and it was just, it doesn't matter. And the board just said, because we just didn't want to, it went on for months and months, like a year. And
They were almost approved out of frustration.
yeah, it was like, okay, it's enough. So, let me take a look. I'll take a look at the ordinance, because I know how it intertwines, and your point is well taken. There may be some stuff in there that is superfluous, because it's supposed to be processed, it's not supposed to,
Yeah,
overlap with.
I've written a lot of bylaws too, including some contentious ones. And I don't know the township, and the township runs differently than
Yes.
does other things, But it seems like the long version, as you said, there are things there that people put there just for silly reasons.
Right. No, there could be some of that.
But I do understand that you want more specific guidelines in some areas.
And a good example is Jess's comment, which, we've talked about for years and years, is we won't, her comment was we stop working at 11, no matter what. And I think that makes sense, that, we put in the bylaws that no matter will be heard after X amount of time. And, because it hasn't happened in a long time, but there's been a couple meetings, we've been here to midnight.
Okay.
And it's because we haven't had the mechanism to shut it down, other than to say we're
According
tired.
to the bylaws, you can't shut down.
Right.
You have to hear what's on the agenda.
Well, and I think that's how bylaws ought to be written, is you find the issues at hand. I mean, it's a governance document. It's how does this work? And you decide how it works, and then write the bylaws for the ideal.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things, like defining the duties of the chair, in both documents, that's there.
It is, yeah. And you're right, there's overlap between the ordinance and the bylaws, and in some places they conflict.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of the argument about the short form because we had an attorney who sat with us. And she was a retired attorney, and she looked at everything as less is more.
Yeah.
And I just think she took it too far with the less.
Okay.
And I think there's a happy medium between the older version, which is the long blah, blah, blah version, and the version. So, this is a great conversation. This is exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah. Okay.
So that we could, look at both documents and come to an agreement on what is most appropriate.
Okay,
So,
that's great.
So no, I think it's a very good point that you're bringing up. So everybody else read it. Jess gets credit, Bill gets credit.
I only read the short one.
Very well.
I spent more time on the short one because it was shorter.
Yeah. So I would like everybody to keep looking at it for next meeting. We're going to get Vincent's commentary as well in that time.
I'll do something way before that.
But I think that these are two very important things that just need to be cleaned up. That way I can retire. And then it's going to be all your problem.
It's your problem.
With that, I don't think I have anything else. Carly, you had a new business question, comment on.
Yeah, so I was following up on the Van Winkle house and the state of affairs with that house, because I was really concerned about it. And I actually had a tour of the house by the president of the Meadows Foundation. And I got conflicting information that nothing was being done because there was a conflict between the township and with the New Jersey Preservation Office in Trenton. They wanted to use different resources to do the work, to fix up the house. So I followed up with Vince today, and maybe you could share with us what you shared with me.
Well, what we're in the process, we've hired an engineer to determine the size of the pumps that we have to have to, when it does flood, to remove the water out of it. So, and for the type of temporary flood control that you have to put around it. That's the first stage. We have $100 and something thousand to do that. That's being done right now, because we can no longer get flood insurance, because the only way to insure the house would be to build it up to code, which is counterintuitive because we can't, because it's an historic structure. So first we have to protect it. Then we have to move some of the utilities, and we have another $300,000 to do work on the house after we get the flood control, and we go. So it's a step process, but work will be commencing relatively soon, probably sometime this year, once we get an idea of how big those pumps, how long it takes to get them. Because we have to protect the house before we start doing work. We don't want to do work and not have the ability to protect it.
So instead of buying pumps, why don't we buy a whole bunch of foam archery targets so that the house could float up with the river and then float back down?
You know,
Because
it was brought up at one of the meetings that that house could be raised and.
elevated, not raised.
Elevated.
Yeah, don't use raised as in Z.
Elevated. And we were told, no, you can't do it, but
Because it
then.
loses its historic designation?
But
No.
then Ed Potasnik found where it can.
So
So it's like,
So the Secretary of the Interior, as well as the State Historic Preservation Office, has been putting a lot of effort into talking about conservation and preservation of historic sites that are being subjected to climate
Climate
change.
change, yep,
And,
exactly.
and one of the things that has become a hot topic is the constant flooding. Not just here,
No.
in a lot of places. And there has become a lot of relief for elevating the elevation of structures. And it's a case-by-case review, and you have to go through
Yeah, of
it.
course.
But it used to be that as soon as you move a building at all, it
Right.
loses its what's called integrity. And integrity is a reference to the structure's integrity as a historic monument or whatnot. So, you know, there's been a lot of conversation and relief given for raising the elevations of these properties. So I think there's a potential for, if it was to be elevated a couple feet in the same exact spot, there's an argument for that. You can't move it 2 feet and then 2 feet this way, because then it's a different
We
conversation.
talked about that, but then it was just said that you were gonna kind of do that thing around it and then mitigate it, because I know that there was mud that was in there and.
It's a wetland now. It's developed into a wetland.
Well, it's not
It
a
used to
wet-
be a lawn, it's a wetland now.
It's.
So there's
it
a
is
legal
not- it is not-
definition.
Yeah, don't call it a wetland,
It's not a
because just because it's wet, there's a very legal definition of wetlands.
Right.
There has to be plant growth and everything,
It's a
wet.
drainage problem.
It's wet, but it's not a wetland.
They mow it when it's.
That'd be
That's what the
bigger.
president said. I didn't say that. That's what, those are
Yeah.
her words.
And that's. and-
How old is the house anyway?
Unfortunately, but people, when they use words
Don't
that
you
they
think it's
shouldn't
settled a
use.
foot?
I think it was
From
That's
that
a
they
very, very
reconstructed it.
important legal
I understand.
foundation where
I
they can't
understand.
do certain
Bring it
things.
back to the original height.
It's really sad because, you know, between the topography, they're at the bottom of the hill. So whenever it really rains, think about the rain, right? It all, you know, accumulates there, and then it's right on the canal. So you've seen the canal lately, how it floods. So it's just a catastrophe, the
We
location.
moved Rockingham 4
One thing
times,
that I
right?
would-
3-4
Yes,
times, and it's still
Washington
historic.
slept there,
And
no
it's still
problem.
historic.
No problem,
It's not
Washington slept
changed
there.
its.
That's, are we done with?
There's one more point.
Oh, one more point. I
What
just
did you got, Bob?
I would like to maybe have one of our historic meetings in one of our historic
I had said that
homes.
to you.
I don't think we could have a meeting there, but I think we should have tours.
Well, we had it in the barn last year.
Because we have to be able to accommodate audience and
Yeah.
recording and stuff.
Had I
So we
had
couldn't have
like 3 extra
public-
feet on my
We-
carport,
no,
I
we
might be
had-
able to
We
do
had
it.
an open space meeting at the barn over here.
Yeah, that's a little bit different because we record all these. We don't have the ability to do that at
Right.
another venue.
And we're considered a strong commission
Yeah, so
that makes something.
It's very important that the meeting is recorded because like tonight, you made 4 decisions that affected people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't just make recommendations except for when they go to the board, so the mayor's been very adamant that because of that, we want to, which is why we're in this room or in that room and we don't meet someplace else, so that it can be recorded and people have the opportunity to view it.
Okay.
And people do. I've heard people going back and listening to the meetings.
So the last point on new business, and this also involves you, Carla, is that Carla met somebody from the New Jersey Historic Sites Council, I believe, And it's the 250th anniversary of the state of New
Right.
Jersey coming up, so there's gonna be grant opportunities. So, we need to take a look at that.
There's money. They're gonna be giving out a lot of money for the 250th anniversary. So it would be great if we could find out the parameters, and then think about what would we like to do that we could, receive people and make money at the same time, and what could we?
No, we can't make money.
No.
And granting opportunities for this board are for things
Surveys.
like surveys, design guidelines, and stuff like that. Like a grant opportunity for Meadows would be to be able to renovate something so they
Exactly.
can receive people.
Exactly.
So we should just keep an eye on granting opportunities.
So we're saying that we're gonna start a committee to look into grant opportunities, particularly with the contact with Trenton.
Maybe not start a subcommittee yet, but I think everybody should do some research into it and bring ideas back in the next meeting. Just because we've already formed we already have ongoing projects, and I don't want to overburden everybody.
I can start doing my house.
But I think it's really good that everybody should be looking for grant opportunities. And there's things that we've missed with CLG just because we don't have the bandwidth,
What's CLG?
Certified Local Government.
Okay.
That's all I have for tonight. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, what's happening at Marconi?
Nothing.
I saw a lot of construction going on.
The Marconi group illegally, improperly, without any permission whatsoever from the property owner, which is the county, nor any construction permits, began work.
Yeah, I saw that.
They then came in for permits, were denied. The county is, as of now, is not giving them permission to do anything.
They were
What kind of work do they want to do there?
They're gonna have to return it to the way it was. That's between them and the county, because they just went in and started doing work on a weekend without,
Foundation.
I mean, basically like me going over to your house and start digging up your lawn is what they did. And I'm not exaggerating, that's exactly what they did.
What was their intent? What were they hoping to do?
They wanted to put a statue up, they wanted to put some new electrical, they wanted.
They put that ugly sign up on the corner.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm telling you, it literally came in on a Friday and wanted us to give them a permit for property that wasn't theirs.
Wow.
All right, and with that, anything else? I think we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Sounds good. Motion accepted. Let's get out of here.